Tonight on The Rundown, we're exploring how technology has redefined community, shifting it from neighborhoods and gatherings to feeds, forums, and algorithm-shaped spaces. From early message boards to today's AI-driven platforms, we'll look at how these tools connect us, sometimes divide us, and reshape what belonging means in the digital age. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Rundown. It is Thursday evening in Florida. I hope wherever you are, morning, afternoon, or evening, you're having a good day. I've actually been thinking quite a bit about the amount of time that it takes us to get into the meat of what we talk about and all the little hellos that I do before, which seem sillier and sillier. I know Sky likes them, I guess. But I was thinking, instead of going around... I was just going to say hello and highlight some faces that we haven't seen in a while. Paul Wallace, good to have you here. Hello, sir. How are you?
Great to be here. I'm really glad to be back on the Rundown, David.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. And I'm so happy that Bill has joined us, Bill Davis. I had so much fun with you. Bill, I could literally talk to you for hours.
We could have gone on for 3 hours, and I would have enjoyed every minute of all 3 hours.
I mean, you're just you're such a gift and gifted. Thank you for being here, and to Tony and Tamara and Sky. Really wonderful to see all of you. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about the amount of time that it takes to get into like this talk that. See, I'm doing it now.
Did Daria set you up this?
No.
Did she said, Dad, you're just being old and you
no,
need to
it's just like for us, it's sweet and
up.
kind to be able to say hi, but for the audience, like, what do they care? I mean, who cares what the weather is? And I don't know. All right,
we're here for the audience.
What?
Oh, we're here for the
we're
here for the audience.
See, it's them exactly.
Oh, now the fine print. I should read the fine print.
I know. Let's get into this. I'm pushing us. I'm pushing us forward. All right, my friends. So I really dislike it when all the news is AI news, but I just can't help it. This week it feels like the race is on big time. Yep. We had two major announcements this week. The first, which I sort of found by accident, was this NVIDIA, Anthropic, and Microsoft, I almost said merger. It's certainly not a merger, but partnership. So here's what's happening in short, right? So in short, Microsoft and NVIDIA are committing to invest in Anthropic up to $15 billion. Now, I don't know if it's fair to say this, but it seems to me like Anthropic is the smallest of the three major LLMs out there. And so to have a $15 billion investment from these two companies is just huge. Anthropic, in turn, has promised to spend $30 billion in computing capacity from Microsoft's Azure cloud platform. It's going to utilize up to a gigawatt of compute capacity using NVIDIA's architecture. Specifically, two things called Grace Blackwell and Vera Rubin systems. Microsoft and Anthropic are deepening their product and cloud stack integration. Claude is going. All the Claude models are going to be available via its Azure AI stack. By the way, that does not mean that OpenAI is going away. Microsoft still has quite an investment and partnership with OpenAI. They, according to I think it was Satya Nadella, they're just broadening. But this felt to me like in some ways a shot across the bow to Gemini and to OpenAI. I think it seemed to me that this was Anthropic saying, "Hey, we're in this too." Sky, what do you think?
But doesn't Apple also have Gemini? So we're starting to see big companies start picking their
right.
AIs.
Well, Apple just I mean, the rumor at least is that there's a deal between Apple and Gemini.
Right.
That Gemini is going to be the the model for. Sorry, Sky, I cut you off.
Sorry, I cut you off, Sky. I apologize.
No,
I
cut
feel
you off.
so cut off.
Sky, I'm
Just
not
a-
going to cut you off, I promise.
Just I'm so glad we didn't waste time just going around the room and being introduced so we can banter here. I moved to Seattle 20 plus years ago, and everybody referred to Bill this, Bill that. And I really didn't understand it because I had been living in Los Angeles. And yeah, there were personalities in business, personalities in the industry, which again, you refer to the industry in Los Angeles, and everybody knows Hollywood is the industry. TV is the industry. And you are somehow connected with it. If nothing else, you're a barista, but you're actually a screenwriter until you hit hit it big. So when I got here, everybody's talking about Bill, and that was Bill Gates. And that was one of the, as somebody referred to it, one of the three big gorillas in town, other than Starbucks and Boeing. And it's like, oh, well, in any town, what are the industries that support that town? And then consequently, what are the personalities? So when I saw Satya leading this conversation in this announcement, I kind of got a little butterfly giddy inside, because when I got here 20 years ago, what it was referred to as the frat boys gone wild over in Redmond, because they were in a battle against all of the different companies, and it was not pretty at the beginning of Dell and all of those different companies. So consequently, when Satya came along, to hear the attitude shift inside the culture of 40,000 humans that are employed just in Redmond, that meant a positive culture shift in the ideals and idea of what is the product that is Microsoft, mostly in the enterprise, platforms, the big businesses. And so consequently, to see those three faces together, and I had the good fortune of doing the video for Anthropic this past year, and that company is the little train that can, not could, but they are making the rocket ship solid and for humanity. And that's why they left OpenAI to begin with. So this is amazing, pivotal opportunity.
They left OpenAI because of ethical considerations.
Right.
They thought there could be a more ethical basis for AI. I
And
think there
they
was
actually
something on
they did a talk
60
this
Minutes
week
or something about this.
They did a
Yeah,
talk
go ahead,
this
David.
week, Paul, about it was an interview that I saw with their CEO, which was all about exactly that, and it was fascinating.
I saw that.
Fascinating how he is absolutely committed to just be open and honest about the risks. I did think, Sky, that it was really interesting that Satya was clearly leading the conversation in the video.
Well, it was his sandbox.
Right.
It was made, that consequently, of course, he would lead the conversation because he was the one producing it. And I've been in those studios, and they got more toys than God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tamara, you and I would walk in there and just think how many movies we could make, and they go, yeah, whatever. We got 12 more of these studios next door. What? Anyway.
So while this is happening, Google, holy moly, Google just announces a whole new world, apparently.
Right.
Gemini 3, which I mean, I've seen one video that was unimpressed with Gemini. Everything else has just been, this has changed the marketplace. This has changed the AI world. It's not just Gemini. The new Nano Banana, the new image generation is supposedly amazing. What is the new coding? What do they call it? Oh my goodness! It's a great name. Doesn't make any sense, but
Fruity the Grape. These namings.
No. What is it? Come on. What's it? do they call it? Someone in the
Google's
chat.
coding model, is that?
No, it's their answer to Codex. Let's go to
Gems? They have this thing called
AI
Gems.
Studio. Vertex AI is great for real-time voice. Yes. Here, Vibecode Gen AI apps. Oh my goodness, I can't
Gonna go ask.
Gemma.
No,
CLI.
it's whatever. We'll find it. Someone in the chat. Someone will put it in the chat. What?
Jules.
No.
They have Gems now. They have Gems.
You have gems and jewels.
Gems and Jules.
Gems and jewels.
I don't know.
I'm going to jump up at 60,000 foot and say something crazy. Is this going to turn out to be the discovery of milk, or is this going to turn out to be the discovery of soda pop?
It's pretty major.
Wait, tell me more, Bill. Unpack that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'll unpack it. Here's what I'm thinking of. I'm trying to think of where AI has had a nutritious impact on my life. It's had an impact in some areas. I love getting automated notes fed back to me, although I'm only reading, I only have the time to read maybe 5% of what it's generating and sending back at me. I really enjoy some of the generative stuff when I'm trying to make a sign or make a picture or something like that. But I find I'm not using them because I'm concerned about the fact that most of them are not proprietary. And if I do it for a client, then they don't have rights to that stuff that's coming out of the big machines. And I'm just getting the feeling like the whole industry is getting swamped by more and more, logarithmically more and more content. But that's when I stopped and thought of the other day about it. Am I getting fed something really nutritious like milk that keeps humanity alive and going? Or is this an era that may shift over time, but currently is about candy and soda pop? More fizzy, brilliant, exciting, but at its heart, not particularly nutritious creations.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
If you had somebody, if you had a personal assistant, if you had an accountant, if you had a business manager, if you had, people that you currently have probably paid in your careers over the years, not in the creative sense, but just in the academic or the administrative. So I'm on day 8 now of a single chat thread with Anthropic about Sky's health. And I log now in there every day what I ate, when I went to bed, and I'm dyslexic and I have horrible handwriting. So to have something that I can type and read and somebody else annotate that for me and then collate it, I've lost 3 pounds.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not useful, Scott. I'm saying,
you're not putting it in the right frame of mind. You're thinking about being replaced as a creative. I'm thinking it as
I'm thinking about the fact that instead of one person developing something, we're wholesaling it out to everybody so that everybody can do the same stuff, everybody who's connected. So I think it's great that everybody can have that AI medical assistant, and maybe it'll find more diseases, and that's great. That's going to create a lot of plus. It's going to create some minuses. Let's just be frank.
Of course.
I mean, medical professionals' salaries, we may lose nursing or just diagnosticians. It's always going to be this push and pull on there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out whether this rapid spread through so many companies and so many people who are putting it in things that we never had it in before, whether that is the distribution of wheat or the distribution of sugar. It can be both, and it's probably both and parts of each. I'm just interested because most of what I'm getting is not feeling particularly nutritious to me the way I use it.
Fair enough. Tamara, go ahead.
I think that I have a little bit of a different take on it, but to play off of what you're saying, Bill, I think it is creating milk, but the average person is going to get soda because that's what we like better. I think the average user is not going to use all of the properties. And so it is an amazing discovery in a lot of ways, but how regular people use it are going to kind of come to be really like soda pop. People are using it now to kind of, check on their day and to, type emails for them, and people, and what's coming out now with Gemini is they're saying this is so much more. You can do so much more with it, but that's going to require from people a desire to do more. And I think the truth of the matter is the average person is going to get soda pop.
You can't hear me, sorry.
David,
but I would
David, I have
argue,
a
Tamara,
comment.
that this isn't. Yes, the average person will or won't use it to its highest capacity, and I don't think that's the game. I think the game is professionals and
Right.
and companies and orgs that are going to start replacing their low-level coders, their low-level marketers, their low-level legal assistants. They're because these tools are now getting good enough, maybe even better than good enough, to do all of that work. And so, yeah, for the Joe Schmo who's just playing with it, who just wants a chatbot, great, you have a chatbot. But if you really want to use these tools to get work done, and our guy, why do I always forget his name? Who's our guy, Tamara?
Nate
Oh,
B. Jones.
Nate. I don't know why I have a block on his name. Nate talked about he did a bunch of videos on this, but he talked
did.
about how the different uses that it's not. He argues consistently that this is the best model now, and that this is the first time that we've been able to talk about a best model that hasn't had OpenAI in the same sentence.
Right.
But he also says that this is going to be great for really complex math and science, and when you're putting in lots of multimodal information, screenshots and videos, and you wanted to interpret all of that, it's going to be great at that.
Well,
Whereas if
I
you just
did
want to
an
kind of write,
experiment.
do writing, ChatGPT is going to be the way to go. The news
Claude's
story
the way
here,
to go for writing.
Well, maybe, but I guess what I want to
ChatGPT
raise
is not
that,
your best writer friend.
what I want to raise here
Forward
is that
Chevy,
the
forward
news
Chevy.
story, I think, here is
Yeah.
that we have a real race. We haven't had one until now.
And I think both of that we're seeing in both of these news stories, right? We're seeing now that companies are not going to be able to just jump off on their own, and that we're really going to have a pairing up of things to see where how we're going to go forward. I tried Claude this week. As you know, ChatGPT is my AI boyfriend, and so I've not wanted to completely cheat on him, but this week I've been pushed to that limit, because my conversations with Chat kind of go like this: hey Chat, I'm working on this thing, here are the tools that I have, here's the version that I have, and I need to do this, that. And I get a little vulnerable and I say, listen, you got to talk to me like a child, because I'm out of my comfort zone and I don't understand. Tamara, it's great that you've come to me. I can help you. Let me make a checklist for you. Makes a checklist. I go through step 1. It's there. Awesome. I'm trucking. Step 2. Press the button on the left side. Chat, there's no button on the left side. Oh, you're right, Tamara. That was in the former model. You are using a later model. Try the button on the right side, on the bottom right. Chat, there's no button on the bottom right. That's my conversations with Chat. It takes 10 times longer. So I've started to venture out into other things. But with Gemini, I did do an experiment, because I had already done it with Chat. I took the rundown episode 1 and I had put it in Chat a while ago, and I said, here's the tape. Can you make me show notes, pull out quotes of interesting things? And it took about 15 minutes and a couple of tries. I threw it into Gemini today and it took like 16 seconds. And it had a summary of the show. It had interesting things that might be shorts. It had exact time codes. So it is a drastically different model than what we've seen.
I see you, Paul. Give me 1 second. I have wanted. I'm the Google guy. Like my family works at Google. My life is in Google.
Yeah.
I want to love Gemini. And I've complained on this show before about how the most basic things, like in Google Sheets, I ask it to do something. I ask Gemini to do something in the sidebar, and it can't do it. And that just infuriates me. Like if it can't answer a Google question, don't put it there yet.
Well,
But I went back to it. And I went back to it in 2 ways. So one, I needed to analyze 2 somewhat complex lists, CSVs, if you will, and find matching things and then recreate it. I put that in Gemini. It did a brilliant job. It was yesterday, I think. It did a brilliant job. And then I also, today, I had to build a form. And I use Google Forms all the time. And all of a sudden, this popped up. Well, oh, wait a second here. So I needed to create a parent evaluation form for our educational program. And within about 10 seconds, it gives me a really good form. And then if I create this form, at the bottom, I have suggest questions. And so I did not choose to use the one it gave me. I created my own, but then I clicked on suggest questions at the bottom, and it looked at the type of information I was looking for, and it gave me some really great questions. So I'm like you, I'm wanting to venture out and try Gemini a little more. I think it's that big of a leap. Sorry.
You know where I hate it,
Paul.
though? I hate it when it's in email. I really don't need you to correct my email. I'm a 3-time English major, and I'm writing this specifically the way that I want it to be. And I do not care if my grammar is like I've probably chosen my
English
grammar.
major. Come on, the rest of us don't do that. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, when I first heard about this, I went in and asked Gemini, give me a prompting guide, tell me how to get up to speed, and tell me how to work with all my Google products, like Gmail, Drive, Docs, Maps, YouTube. And it said, oh, first of all, you have to use the @ sign, and then you put at Gmail or at Drive or at Docs. And then you're in that you have access to all your documents then, and you can query all your emails or all your docs. And what came after that was like being led to the Wizard of Oz, in that movie, because it kept suggesting more things that I needed to learn. It said, oh, well, maybe you'd like it if I developed your game plan for the week, and maybe you'd like visual layouts, and it told me about deep think, and it just kept prompting and leading me to the Wizard of Oz at the end. It ended up being this incredibly long dialogue. It was very constructive. So I think I was amazed. I was amazed at.
I will
what
just
it
note
did.
that when they finally reached the wizard, there wasn't much there. But I'm
Right.
going to get off
The guy behind the guy pulling the levers behind the thing.
By the way, the name of the coding thing that Google releases, anti-gravity. I couldn't
that's
remember
right.
the name. So that's what's wrong with Paul. Okay, can I just say that Tlaloc just threw me under the bus. He's saying that there's an audio issue, and what does he say? He says, "Oh, it must be from David's microphone." Except he was polite, and he said, "Rabbi Paskin." Look at this. He's just. I think the audio issue.
But isn't that nice? We have friends out there who are paying attention and helping us get things right.
Yeah,
I
but
just think
blame it
that's-
on someone else, not on me.
You've been here enough. We know you are audio competent.
I'm
and
not.
then some.
That's the problem. All right. I say we jump on. We move on. And wait, now Davis is saying that Paul, your lower third is wrong. Is your lower third wrong? No, that's right. ATX.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, that's
Except
good.
you spelled my name Walrus.
Wait, what did I do? Oh my gosh!
Walrus.
Wait.
It's okay. Leave it. Just leave it.
Oh,
okay?
that's
It's
so
okay.
funny. I'm so
That's
sorry.
a classic moment.
Please don't
Wait.
change it, okay?
Do you not have the song queued up? We need the song.
Oh my goodness.
Cuckoo.
I'm so
Change it,
sorry,
David.
Paul.
Keep it the same. Change it back.
Paul is the walrus.
That was fantastic. Okay,
That was a great moment.
let's move on. Community in the digital age. So we've talked about this. We've been talking about this for 5 years. But what I was hoping we could do today is really dive into some of the how we build community has changed. And so I know that Tamra, she's big into what were those called? The original chat. What were they called?
IRC.
IRC. You mention it all the time. I have no idea what it is. IRC. and we have text chains, and we have WhatsApp groups, and we have Facebook groups, and we have communities, mighty networks, and things like that. And then we've got Zoom, and there are so many different tools. What I'm interested in tonight is, what are the tools that really make community, and what are the tools that sometimes break community? So some of the technologies. Paul, I'm going to let you start us off, Paul, and then we'll hop over to Sky. Go ahead.
Okay.
Paul Walrus.
So yeah, I'm the walrus. So history, way back in the early days of the internet, there wasn't even the World Wide Web yet. And there was an outfit in Sausalito, California called The Well. It stood for Whole Earth Electronic Link. It grew out of the Whole Earth catalog. And I was one of the first members of The Well. And we used command line. And we had a command line BBS. So then I moved to Austin, so I started a BBS called The Spring, and it was a command line BBS. And out of that evolved the web interface, and we used something called Picospan. It was very rudimentary, very beginning. But in spite of the fact that we had these really crude tools, we didn't have the fancy World Wide Web and all the things we have today. We had tremendous dialogues because the people that were in this community were fantastic people. And the whole thing took off. And now we've got so many sophisticated tools like Discord, and we've got, fantastic tools. Just a little bit of history there, that's all.
Sky.
I raised my hand. You acknowledged me as a host of this conversation. And Tony and I really understood and discovered the difference between a performance and a conversation 5 years ago when he started. 5 years ago? Did you start conversations? Woof, that aged me. Anyway, he lost his beard over it. I still have mine. But the opportunity to have social interactions been around a lot longer than this technology stuff that we're doing. And that I raised my hand has been a trained social interactive thing that has been adopted into this use of a camera and a microphone. And again, I continue to believe that humanity is going to survive no matter what the technology forces into. Bill, you're absolutely right that the homogenization of this, the combinations of these different technologies, to Tamara's point, may make the lazier faster, but it's also going to make the smarter faster. And so it hasn't really changed any. We're all humans. This is the new pub as far as I'm concerned. And there are, can you say assholes on this show? Okay.
Well, apparently
you just did.
I was
well. I'm testing the waters for that exact question, because we have people that talk too much in pubs too, don't we?
Of course. Bill and Tony, please.
So I'm going to go back almost as far as Paul did. And my first experience of any kind of community online was a thing called CB Simulator back in the early days. And it was a very rudimentary text-only bulletin board. And everybody had handles, because that's what CB had, right? Breaker 19, this is the rubber duck, or whatever it is. Okay. I learned one of the biggest lessons of my entire internet career through that experience. And that was handles breed incivility. And it was astonishing to me that when you were taking on a persona, not your own, and were able to hide behind it, all sorts of otherwise reasonable conversations quickly escalated into being mudslinging messes. And I remember coming out of one particularly bad evening on CB Simulator and saying to myself, that's it, I cannot do this anymore. And I made a rule for myself. I am never going on the internet as anyone other than myself. I am going to put my name on everything I do, and I will either live or die based on it being from me. I've made mistakes in the past, and I've had to kind of backtrack and things like that. But the interesting thing is I do backpack. If I say something remarkably stupid, I always come back and go, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that because that's not me. So please forgive me, which is one of the signature things I think is missing on most of the internet these days, particularly in this era where suddenly we're getting people in masks rolling me around doing chicanery. I'm not a big fan of hiding.
Bill, can I ask you a question? Because I'm thinking
That's
about
the key,
people
Bill.
for whom...
You hit on the key thing. You
Hold
gotta
on one
be
second,
David.
Paul.
Real.
I'm thinking about people for whom...
Yeah, David, we can't hear you.
Mike, David, Mike.
I pressed the wrong button. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm having a night. I wanted to just ask you a question, Bill. I'm thinking about people for whom anonymity is sometimes important, and in spaces like this. And I don't know. Because I'm like you. I just have my name there. I decided a long time ago that I don't use my title. I'm just David Paskin when I'm on the web. That was a conscious decision.
Good old Dave.
Good old Dave. It was a conscious decision. But I think that for one of the things that the internet offers is that you can be part of a community and yet be anonymous. And so that's an interesting, I think, struggle perhaps.
Yeah, you can't ever do absolutes. I'm not advocating that everybody needs to be decloaked all the time, because there are reasonable things. It's like every rule, every commandment, thou shalt not kill, but if the dog's after my baby, I'm going to kill the dog. I mean, I hate to say it. I'll feel horrible about it, but absolutes don't really work in a nuanced world. But you can get these senses of here's the best way to approach it and behave, and then know that your exceptions are thoughtful exceptions.
Right.
But that the rule stays the rule. That's how I approach it. Everybody can be different.
I'm going to go to Tony, but I have to, sorry, this is the rabbi. I just said I don't use titles. Just to be clear, the Bible never says thou shalt not kill. Never, ever, ever, ever. It never says that anywhere. It says thou shalt not murder. And that's really...
Oh, does it? Is that the fifth commandment? Is it the fifth? Yeah.
Yeah. Totally different Hebrew words. Really important distinction.
Fascinating.
Sorry. There's lots of killing all over the Bible.
Colloquial.
We actually kind of love to kill in the Bible. We do a lot of that. But murder, that's different. All right. Sorry. Thank you. But I digress. Tony.
Yeah. So I would have to say that I was a internet watcher until Skype. And I tried to consume as much as I could in terms of like anything that Leo Laporte did. And that's the first time I was introduced to Alex Lindsay and all of that. But I was not a participant until Skype. And then once I sort of got into Skype, I was doing little things with Skype and feeling pretty good about myself. Then came Meerkat. Oh boy, when Meerkat happened.
Oh my gosh. I remember
I was
Meerkat.
a part of that. I was a part of that community, and I loved it.
Tony, was that a Twitter? Was that part of the Twitter thing?
No, you're talking about Periscope.
Oh, right. But Meerkat was before Periscope, right?
Yes, Meerkat was first. Then came Blab. Blab was Zoom. Zoom is the son of Blab, and it has decided that it was going to surpass its parent in every way possible. Paul and I had some interaction on Blab, and the late John Preto, he and I were first became friends on Blab.
We talked on the father of Zoom, in other words.
Yeah. So, but what I was trying to get at was that those were the first instances.
I'm sorry, Tony. Sky, put the Bible away. What?
Guy's got props.
He has too many books around. Too accessible.
I'm in a library. It's like murder.
That was fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Sorry. Nothing a good hand prop can't solve. I completely blew it. Tony, I owe you so many something.
That's okay. That's okay.
So much coffee.
Go ahead, Tony.
So I just wanted to say that those things, Skype, Meerkat, Blab, and now Zoom. I participate in Discord a lot, and there have been other things, but those were the major things where I was able to have a sense of community. More so Blab than Meerkat, because it was a little bit more interactive. Blab was really, I really think it in a lot of ways, it was the foundation for what we started to get in Zoom.
Yeah, there was another one that you left out. It was called Google Hangouts.
I remember Google Hangouts.
Yeah,
Hangouts.
Wow, yeah. Hangouts was good. Yeah.
What was your experience, Tamara, on Google Hangouts?
Was Meerkat the one where you would go on and you'd be matched with a random person? What was that app? It was a video app, and you would go and it would just cycle through. You'd be matched with a random person. Half of them were.
I know what you mean.
Naked,
I can't think of the name.
I mean, so quickly, I've got shut down. I don't remember if that was Meerkat or something else. Oh, and
it was
Clubhouse.
Something else.
Dave is mentioning in the chat about Clubhouse. Gosh, I remember when that got big. Also, I mean
Is that still going? Is it still going?
Yeah.
Early in the pandemic, we used House Party, which were like Zoom, but like with little bubbles. It was like you could bring people to your house party, and people could come into your party, or you could lock the door, and then it was just a private party.
Yeah, Clubhouse is still
And it was
going.
kind of disturbing.
This is their website.
I think Prodigy had a thing for about a minute as well, and in Yahoo Groups. Yahoo Groups was huge. And it then transitioned for this theater company I was with. We were all kind of, refinding ourselves and found each other on Yahoo Groups.
Yeah, Prodigy and Yahoo were kind of neck and neck in the beginning, but Prodigy was weird because you weren't assigned, you couldn't choose a name. You were assigned a name, and it was a series of like GX4B5 at prodigy.com. So like you were super anonymous in that way. But yeah, they had a very similar look to the way Yahoo looked, where you could kind of click through wherever you wanted to go, and then you were in that particular group. But all of them had very, very different personalities. So CompuServe had a very business personality. Delphi was very business. Prodigy was like women at home. Like it was completely a different vibe no matter where you went. It was like completely.
Well, and that's the cultural concept that you're talking about is Facebook was as Tony's analogy, the son of MySpace, but then LinkedIn was the mom and pop of that whole social experience or experiment. Again, it's just a different style of pub, and some are more expensive.
In the early days of Facebook, you had to actually belong to a university. So
then
I was in graduate
personality insanity of Reddit.
Yeah.
Substack has video conferencing now. I looked at a Substack earlier today. It was okay. Wasn't great.
Sorry,
the writers seem to be heading to Substack because you can do long form there. But yeah. I've spent a good chunk of time on Reddit, and that was interesting to me because there's so many different personalities and so many different communities, and it got so big so fast. And it's just like which one is the community du jour now? How many people have been in more than 20 communities that you spent a lot of time in, and that now you don't spend much time in them? It was such an interesting arc to see all of these come up, gain certain amounts of traction, and then generally fade away.
But the new communities are very different. So with those old communities, you could kind of choose where you wanted to go, right? So you could go into, I was working at TV Guide, and we could pick I would be in a soap and I would watch all of those things. But the communities now are a little different because once Twitter came around, I really feel like we changed how we interacted. So instead of like even Reddit, you go to Reddit if you have a question and you want people to answer your question. It's not necessarily a community where you go to the same group every single day. And so you might in the IRC things, you would go to a group and you would go to that group for a shared experience. But after that, you ended up returning to that group because you wanted to know how the group was doing. So you started to get to know people in the group and it was creating a community. Now, when you look at something like Threads, someone posts something and half the comments, and this is true of TikTok comments, anywhere that you go, a lot of the comments are just like horrible. Listen, if these aren't your people, just go, just keep scrolling. Why are you like just adding bad commentary? So I think that is one of the things that just is so different from from where people could disagree in a group, but they were still part of that group. We see that more in a Discord.
I'm gonna come to Paul and Sky. I just want to throw in one thought, and that is that I actually think that Threads and Twitter and Mastodon, well, maybe not Mastodon, but I don't think of those as communities. I think those as feeds, because you're not choosing. I mean, you choose what you see, but I don't know. Those feel different to me than a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or something like that. That's just my silly sense. Paul and Sky, please.
Yeah. Does anyone else feel like if you're not on LinkedIn, you're cheating? Like if you're on X, you should be on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is so serious and you're making business connections.
I'm on LinkedIn, but I never go there.
I just feel like if I'm not on LinkedIn, I should be on LinkedIn.
I'm on all of them, but I just put myself there. It amazes me when people follow me on some, like whenever every once in a while I'll get a pop-up that says, "Ooh, so-and-so followed you on TikTok," which I think is hysterical because I've literally never posted anything on TikTok.
LinkedIn always seems to me like a chamber of commerce meeting.
I agree.
It is a chamber of commerce meeting.
It's a Rotary Club.
And it's one of those business leads groups that if you're in business and trying to build your business, that's for you.
Right.
And if you're not,
and all I ever get, I feel like all I ever get there are ads and job updates and opportunities. I don't.
I mean, ultimately, that's what LinkedIn is, right? And so, like, there's lots of communities I go in now where they're expecting you to have a LinkedIn, and they're expecting you to be able. And I'm like, every time somebody's like, "Post your LinkedIn in the chat," I'm like, let me go to my LinkedIn. Let me grab it. And even though I know it's good for me, like I should be creating a business following there, I just don't. I post every once in a while. And then I forget.
Community to me is connection. And connection is that Dave Troutman, normally sitting in one of these Hollywood squares here, is not here tonight. He went to go pick up his son at the airport, but he is here because I'm reading about how he said, you got to kill a carrot to eat it. So we're still back on the death and the murder thing. I'm just saying, if you're going to leave a legacy here, Paskin, tonight's the night.
Well, Twitter rolled out in 2007 at South by Southwest. I was there, and everybody at that conference was making friends with each other in real life at a conference, So it kind of was organic the way it started. The New York Times wrote an article that said I was the king of Twitter, and I think I've gotten all the mileage out of that I can, through the years. But that was a phenomenal thing that you were there the day it launched, and it was actually at a conference and people were organically connecting in real life. And there were screens everywhere. There were these big screens that showed the Twitter feed, right? Well, it's X. It's X now. And now it's X. Right. Now it's merging with AI.
Right.
So you've got Twitter and this massive AI brain coming together, which is going to be real interesting.
I actually think, Paul, by the way,
the part about that fascinates me with you, Paul, is you show up on my feeds that you're at every hot party in Austin. You are standing in front of the prettiest people, and it's how you amaze me. You amaze me. But my point is, I think we can only really stay connected with how many people at a time. We've got 6 people here that I know and love, And I'm recognizing that, again, Tony, to the performance versus conversation, you can perform for thousands at a time, one direction. They engage with you by their applause and whatever, way you permit them to. But this is a different intimacy because we can only keep so many things in our head at one time. I'm on 3 different connection. I'm on WhatsApp. I'm on this mentor thing, and now I'm on a cell phone texting with the same people group that I'm hanging out with in this Story First community I'm hanging out with now. And I'm recognizing I can't cross the signals between these 3 different groups because we are so scattered with how we receive information. And I will send a text to somebody, to my daughter. If I don't send it the right way at the right time, she will not show up for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And that would be very sad.
Yeah.
So how do you connect, Paskin?
Well, I'm actually throwing this to Tony.
Oh, I was still back with LinkedIn, and what I wanted to say was when Conversation with Tony Mobley was doing a simulcast to YouTube and LinkedIn, I got I'm sorry, it was a TriCast because it was Conversation with Tony Mobley was going to YouTube first, then it was going to Facebook, and then it was going to LinkedIn, and I got the best engagement from YouTube, of course, and then LinkedIn. There was a lot of engagement. And I would dare say that I think that the conversations that we have here on the rundown would be appropriate for LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something you ought to consider, David.
It's true.
I'm not averse to it. I just, and we certainly can. I mean, there's nothing stopping me.
I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between connection and community. So connection, all of these tools we're talking about give us connection from one another. But community really does come from shared experiences, repeated shared experiences. You don't become a community just by visiting one of these sites once or every once in a while. It's really about, I need to go back there, right? I need to go back and learn more. And and it becomes a shared thing that happens over and over again. For me, like with office hours, I heard about it from other people. I had to seek it out because, man, it was difficult. And then I went and watched for months and months. I would show up inside the Zoom room and quietly come and go. And it took about 2 years before I actually reached out to say, hey, maybe I want to get a little more involved. But it was repeat experience to where I felt like I knew people way before I ever met them in person. So I think, and it's the same with us here. When we first got together, we're like, it's kind of awkward. I know I watched the first episode today when I put it into Gemini. and now, when we show up, we're showing up for our friends. We're showing up to have a conversation with people we know and we like, and we kind of, we agree with some things and we don't agree with other things, but we keep showing up because where else would we be on a Thursday night,
Yeah. There's someone I think it was Dave actually mentioned in the chat Google Plus. I was a big fan of Google Plus also, and I was really excited about what it might have become, and then it, of course, died.
Well, did you remember the wave?
That's what I wanted. Google Wave.
Being on that waiting list until you found someone who gave you a little invite in.
Absolutely.
And then it was
worst,
wah, wah,
the
wah.
worst pull the rug out from under people in history.
Exactly.
They've got this big community. They completely shut it
Yeah.
down, pulled the rug.
Yeah, but
Well,
I want to go.
that was the same thing with Blab. Blab,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
the same
Pulled the
thing.
rug.
You had
Yeah.
all these people that were invested in it, and they weren't making money, so they killed it.
Well,
that
I
seems
was
to be
in
the
the
big
room
problem. Oh, go ahead.
when, Bill, you were probably in the room too in Las Vegas when Apple announced they were leaving Final Cut 7 and moving to Final Cut
10.
X.
Yeah.
Oh, I let the crowd into the room that day. That was a huge thing. And it says
Well,
something.
and- yeah, there you go. That was a shift for a corporate purpose and left a lot of the professionals behind, but it went from 1,000 dedicated editors to 10 million people that now call themselves editors.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. What you can, if you look back, I'm a great believer in hindsight. If you look back, you can see signs that none of us were smart enough to see, that the landscape of digital creation was changing incredibly fast, faster than any of us
Right.
had any idea about. Apple, being in the kind of the center of creator tools and things like that, picked up on that way faster than a lot of other companies did. So did Adobe and some others, and they were there when the paradigm changed, and you could really monetize things differently. You remember when Final Cut used to be $1,200, and I remember
Painfully,
at that meeting
every
you're
2
talking
years.
about. I remember the thing you're talking about. At that meeting, they put up the price, right, $299, and there was an audible gasp, because this was like the most disruptive thing that we had ever seen. It is still disruptive to this day. And when you think about how our payment systems have all morphed, and it's interesting, the other day I just noticed, even in Zoom, there's now a monetizing back end. This is only, right, the last couple of months or so. Suddenly you can plumb in tickets, I guess, to your Zooms and monetize your online consulting or whatever you're doing. It makes perfect rational sense, because millions of people are on these things helping other people and forming little enterprises and things like that. And now they've come to the conclusion that, frankly, if you don't have some sort of value proposition built into whatever you're spending your time doing, these things we do for free, and I'm as guilty as everybody. I love the things I do. I love the communities I hang out with. But every once in a while I'm going, am I really supposed to be spending this much time doing all this for free?
Right.
And will I lose everybody if I monetize any of it?
There's something
And
to be
again,
said for
software is the lost leader for the hardware.
right.
So
But
there's
when it comes
no
to
such thing as
community-
free.
when it comes to community, there's something to be said for making people buy in, making people have some skin in the game, so that they feel a sense of obligation or responsibility to that community. I want to jump back real quick to something, Tamara, you said earlier. You were talking about getting into office hours. Technically, we are a spin-off of office hours, so I think that it's probably maybe helpful to use that as a test case. I also found it really difficult to get into office hours, certainly to get on the panel. And the response that I heard from folks is that that's not a bug, that's a feature.
Right.
And which I think is a really interesting way of thinking about how to structure a community. That the best in the mind, I think, of Alex, and I certainly don't mean to speak for him, but just from my experience of trying to get in the mind of Alex and many others in the office hours community, when you're creating and nurturing a community, having it not be a free-for-all and open to all
Right.
is really important to defining that community.
Well, and I've structured my writing community in a similar way, where I require them to have first name and last name, and I get some pushback, and I'm like, this is a professional community where we're going to discuss writing, and so we need to know who people are. And if you don't like it, I'm totally okay with that. So I think that there's some value in that kind of creation.
I had a
I will
very
say that
successful
nobody
writing
wants to
community.
go to the party that nobody wants to go to.
Right.
And everybody wants to go to the party that everybody wants to go to. It is
I had
a
a
fact
really
of human life.
I had a really successful writing community, austin.com, janeausten.com. And I got checks all the time. It was like very worthwhile financially, and it was everybody was really engaged. We used a very crude BBS software, and we had a fan fiction
There it is.
area. That worked. That's the only community that I started or that I had anything to do with that really worked and was really successful.
Yeah.
It was very gratifying.
Sky, go ahead.
Well, it was the success of an affinity. And this is where I credit Chris Fenwick putting that in my brain, in that people are together because of a common
Right.
good, common vision, common goal. But I was going to introduce the talking stick, which has been around since forever. But David, you are our host, and you help guide our conversations, and you allow us to interact engagingly, unlike the office hours, because again, Alex had come from a history, was it Google Meets, he says, the way I heard the story, that imploded because, and he tracked a couple of things that he believed is what, as was talked earlier about, the anonymity, particular hot topics that just consistently were so anti-community building, affirming, that he just said, it's my sandbox. I'm gonna make the rules. And I love that once I understood that. Early days, I didn't understand that. And there were a couple people that didn't understand that, and they were uninvited because they wanted to play by their rules and it wasn't their sandbox. So that, again, that one person, Alex Lindsay, has created a attitude of affinity, of connection and community. I absolutely celebrate and credit him for my getting to know you and Bill and Paul. Tamara, I still owe you coffee. And Tony, I owe you so many coffees and or whatever you drink in Atlanta.
You know, I agree with everything you just said. It raises another interesting question, and that is when we gather, I hate saying in person, but when we gather physically on site,
breathe the same air.
When we're breathing the same air, we have over millennia developed ways of deciding how that group, how that community is going to be managed or run or governed. I'm wondering how those questions play out in digital space. You know, Alex was able to say, I'm in charge. Forget Alex. I could say, I can mute any of you. And I mean, that's one of the things about Zoom, right? Is that it is the most democratic of the most undemocratic tools, because fundamentally, as the host, I could do whatever I want. I can mute you. I can turn your camera, any of that stuff. So the question of how do you govern communities in digital space, to me, is still an open question. Go ahead, Tamara.
Well, I've got to go put my book away and then go join my other Thursday people group that I participate.
Photo bomber.
Exactly.
I have been accused of photobombing my own selfies. So apparently it's years of practice.
Have a good night. Tamara, go ahead.
Thank you.
So there's
Thank you
two
all.
different things. One, starting a
Scott.
community usually takes one person to kind of figure it out. But fostering a community makes space for other people to run the community when you are not there. And so for one of the things about office hours is that, yes, Alex started it, Alex set the structure, and then the reason the community works is that even when Alex isn't there, other people can answer questions. Other people can hop in a Zoom in after hours and help people out. There's never there's kind of this, that's where the community comes from. And I had a real struggle with my community because for the first 2 years, it felt like it was just me. And until I was able to kind of step back, bring other people in and not be there for an hour and know that people were going to take care of each other and kind of guide people into caring for one another, then the community started to flourish. And then I could sit back and watch and go, oh, look how great that is. Look how great that Jen just helped Heather out. And I didn't need to do that. I didn't have to do any of that care and feeding. And that's where community starts. It's not just in setting up the structure of things. And it's the same here, David. You set up the structure, said, here's what I'm going to kind of do. But then you step back and let us kind of fight it out. And we've become a community, not just in this space, but I have like one-on-one relationships with a lot of you, like that is totally outside of this Thursday night. And for some of you, I didn't really know you before this Thursday night. And so I think that's part of it, is that transfer of power.
I also think that's a difference between a show like this, where I pretty much know that every week we're going to have the same panelists. I mean, every once in a while, Paul will hop on, but you know, I know the same 4 or 5 or 6 folks are going to show up every Thursday night. With office hours, he didn't, like, it was
Right.
There were hundreds of people that could have potentially showed up. And so I completely understand and respect the use of Mukana, a system where
Right.
that gets people in line to speak and things like that. Here, after the first few episodes, we all knew each other and we knew how to step on each other's toes. Dave is saying in the chat, he just points out that Robert's rules can't work online. I would respectfully argue that they don't work offline either. I can't stand Robert's rules. I think they stifle real conversation.
They're so performative.
It's so fake. It just drives me bananas. And yes,
Well, they're
leading by
useful as long
example.
as you don't have the gish gallopers in who will just, suddenly want to dominate everything and speak for 30 minutes.
Right. So
Those people are out there.
of course, but I don't know. I don't need Robert's rules to shut someone up. I just shut them up.
Something that
I just real quick. I just want to say, Michael, who, by the way, thank you, Michael, and everyone, but Michael's been really active in the chat. Leading by example is great, but often very frustrating. I absolutely agree with that. Sorry, I cut you off, Tamara.
No, I kind of wanted to go back to something that Bill said, because Bill made a really interesting observation about how we didn't know when things were shifting during each of these technological things. And I think this brings us back to where we started today. We are seeing the exact moment when AI is shifting, because it was lots of different things and now people are grouping off and pairing off, and where we end on the other side of that, this is that time. And so there were lots of times throughout where you're like, oh, I can kind of see where the browser wars versus the, search engines. And then Google came in and it was like, throwing a stone in the water. Same thing happened with Netflix. So I think that we are actually in this moment now seeing that shift.
The question for me is, will we end up with trails through a hostile landscape that help everybody travel farther and faster, or will it come through like a tornado?
I think
and
it's going to
tear everything to
Well,
pieces.
we're back to
listen.
milk or
I think
Pepsi.
it's going to. But here's the thing. I think it's going to look like the promise of Gmail. Gmail definitely, email made our lives better. It made our lives better. We can do things faster. We can do things, but it also did not have the promise that it said it was going to have. You know what? If we're able to do this instead of running to the post office and, writing letters or sending things through the messenger guy who picks everything up 3 times a day, then we're going to have more time in our lives to do more, and we're going to have more work-life balance. In fact, we don't have more work-life balance. We are
but that's
struggling.
but that's not Gmail's fault. That's our fault.
But that's the thing. I think there's a promise to AI that is like, AI is going to do everything for you and it's going to be amazing. And I don't think we're going to come out the other side feeling like, oh my gosh, this is better.
What Tamara's saying resonates with me as well. I think there are unintended things on both sides. It'll accelerate some things, but it's also going to accelerate some things in parallel for a ton of people, which means that at the choke point, where only a few of them can benefit from that acceleration, there's going to be a collision, and not that many people will get through the other end into the paradise that it's promising us.
Do you is it possible? Sorry, I'm having trouble forming this question. Is it possible? We've talked a lot about how AI is going to take is going to take jobs away, and is it possible that AI is also going to play a destructive role in community building? I'm thinking about, for example, this goes back to, I think it was this summer when Zoom's CEO did part of Zoomtopia. Well, that wasn't this summer. That was in November. But, part Zoomtopia, he delivered it through an avatar. And there was an earnings call, I think, that he showed up as an avatar. I mean, if we're going to be using AI to show up in digital space, we're not really even showing up anymore.
I'm curious how many people are going to want to do that. I think that there are time and time again where humanity continues to be human. And I think that we talk a lot about AI taking jobs, and we are not talking as much about the Barry Diller switch to change in how corporations work, which was way before much of this technology started in the 80s, right? So now we have a corporate America that literally every quarter thinks nothing of laying off a portion of its workforce. Right. And so we can talk about how, oh, well, they're going to use AI to replace. This is already a reality, even without any tools at all. We now have made it perfectly okay to not invest in humans. We don't invest in people for 30 years in the same company. We may not invest in them every 4 months. We literally say that it is okay for corporations to treat people inhumanely and say, we didn't meet our goal, so you can do that. So that's not, so I think that we're using AI as a way to say, this is the reason that AI, this technology is the reason that corporations and that people are going to be left behind. We've actually been doing this for a long time. And I think that that's the danger of of blaming technology for things being, fragmented. They're fragmented at a faster rate through technology. I do think we're not as happy. I do think we are seeing, Facebook gives us the my neighbors are doing so much better than I am. But I don't think you can take it and blame 100% into technology. I think we have to say that we over time have made humans less important. We have made we've made those things okay. And so that's not going to be fixed by technology. That's going to be fixed by humans having real conversations and getting, reaching out and trying to understand people they don't agree with and they don't understand and they don't like. And that is on us, that's not going to be saved by anything else.
Paul and Tony, I want to give you guys a chance to jump in here as we start to wrap up, because we've been dominating a little. Well, Paul, what any thoughts?
Well, I think the government's removing all the guardrails, which might be a problem. And Anthropic is drag racing like hell to bring ethics into the picture. And then also, we haven't even seen agents yet. If you can spawn an agent, you can say, you build an agent that represents you. What's the difference between building one agent or 100 agents or 1,000 agents? You just say, I'd like 1,000 agents to go do this. And then you've got, it could get pretty nuts, the AI, if all the guardrails are taken off. So I think it's kind of a tension between the forces of government and China and the competition among nations to have the best AI, and how do you get an ethical framework in place? We haven't seen anything yet. That was a saying in baseball. I think Branch Rickey said you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yep. Thank you, Tony. What do you think?
Wow. I keep going back to this thing that Tamara mentioned about ethics and concern for humanity. It's kind of the same old song. It's going to be the haves and the have-nots, and it's going to be those who are able to embrace technology and be able to do these magnificent things and fabulous things with technology, and there are going to be people who are not connected, and they will be, based on the way things are going with the technology and the mindset of human beings, there is going to be two groups of people. There are going to be people that are on the side that have all this technology and are able to utilize it and make wonderful things and interaction and positive things. And then there are going to be people who don't have technology and don't have, don't have hope. And when you think about times in history when empires have fallen there is a sense that there is a decline in humanity against humanity, and I think that we're sort of pushing toward that. And I don't mean to be a wet blanket, but I'm really trying to call it as I see it. And I think that there might be a lot of people who disagree with me, but I see in the way in which we think about things, about whether or not people have food or not, and use it as leverage for other things. And so there is going to come a time when there are going to be people who are going to be able to exercise all of these fantastic, wonderful things. And there's going to be a time when there's going to be an underclass of people, and they are not going to be able to utilize these things. And that just is kind of the way the world has gone over the last several thousand years.
Yeah. That's very true. And we've talked a lot about that all of our first world problems, and how lucky we are to have them, and how there is a real line, a distinct line that's being drawn in the world. I'm so grateful to all of you for hanging out. Now let's just do this publicly. All right, we're just going to have this debate right now publicly. Are we jumping on next Thursday? If we are, I might have to be on my phone. I have no idea how I'm going to do it because I won't be home.
I'm not sure where I am either.
It's Thanksgiving in the United States, so I'm not sure that it's going to work. Is it going to work? I mean, are you all doing Thanksgiving with your families? I hope.
I am doing Thanksgiving with my family.
Tony, are you doing Thanksgiving with your family?
Yes, everybody's going to be here at my house.
All right. We're calling it. I'm calling it. We will not be here next week, everyone.
Don't call it, David. Let's have the show.
Just you and
the show must go on. Come on.
Well,
we got to have.
We've
the
taken
show.
a couple breaks.
We're a
every once in a while.
spin-off
You
of
can't
Office
just
Hours.
pull
We're not
the rug
Office
like
Hours
that,
that
David.
never stops.
Don't pull the rug. Come on.
I'm not pulling the rug, I promise. But I am saying I did Thanksgiving in October. Yes, Dave is writing that he did Thanksgiving in October. He did it the right way. We're all doing it the wrong way. I'm really grateful. Bill and Tamara and Tony, Paul and Sky, for all of you for being here. Thank you so much for spending the time this evening to discuss. If we were going to meet next week, the topic was going to be, and so now this is going to be homework for everyone on the panel and everyone who's watching, what tech are you most thankful for? Go ahead, Bill. Come on.
No. We're doing a quiet Thanksgiving this year because we've done crazier ones in the past, and the family is diffused right now. So I am thankful for all of you, and this has been, as much as I'm worried about what's a good word for it, the funnelification of seeing so many people trying to get a position in the smaller and smaller and smaller spout of the funnels that all of this leads to, because there's just so many people who can use these tools. And I'm not sure that there's anywhere near as many things that'll be positive on the back end of that. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Yeah. And I've been proved to be wrong more than a few times. And it may turn out that this really does help more than it hurts. But I know the one thing that always has helped me more than it's hurt, and that's getting to know people of goodwill and intelligence and connecting with them, because that's the one thing I have always been able to count on from the time that I was young. And so thank you, one and all.
Thank you. And I also want to give a special thank you to Dave, who is in the chat. I'm sorry, Dave, you jumped in a little late.
We miss you, Dave.
Started. We do miss you. But thank you so much for being here. For Captain Jack Cannon, he's thankful for Auto VND on my FX6. And Michael Graves and Dave and Vic and Tlaloc and who else am I missing here? There are a whole bunch of people in the chat. I'm trying to scroll through so I can see all of you. Really grateful to everyone who showed up, who participates, who shares your voice. I learned so much every single week that I'm here, and I'm just really, here's my Thanksgiving is I'm just very, very grateful. I wish all of you, if you're celebrating, happy Thanksgiving. If you're not, a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you next time on the rundown.